Hi again, everyone. It's Kathy Heron here, running for mayor. Decided to do a couple of videos out here because it's such a beautiful fall day, nice and warm, and the lighting's good. And the two topics I want to talk about kind of really call for being outside. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Gazette question number 5, which is about climate crisis. So the question was, share your vision of how the city should address its effects on the climate and extreme weather resulting from the global climate crisis. Great question. I'm so glad it's part of this campaign and this cycle of elections. Here's my answer. It's a top priority for next council term. It's a top priority for me. A lot of effort has gone into creating an urban city that blends with our natural systems, and we want this to continue for the next generation. First and foremost, we need ambitious targets to get to net zero, both corporately and as a community. So I have 4 areas that I would like to focus on. 1, increase the access to clean energy. So essentially greening our grid through solar and wind and other energy sources. Number 2, efficient buildings, retrofits of existing and policies for new buildings. And transportation, which means active transportation. We need to continue to add to our electric fleet, charging stations, and of course public transit's key. And then finally, waste. So keep it out of the landfill and treat it as a resource. I did write in here that this is one of my biggest focuses and almost impossible to describe in 120 words. I asked the Gazette to put my website in, but they chose not to. So there's a lot to talk about. I try to keep it under 5 minutes, but I read a fantastic book a long time ago. Actually, not that long. William Wells, he sits on the library board, recommended it to me. It's called Solved, and it's about how cities can actually tackle the climate crisis and how we should be and how we could probably be most effective at doing it. The areas that I've outlined are out of the book. It was written by the former mayor of Toronto, David Miller, and he's also the chair of the C40, a group of really large cities globally that get together and talk about climate. So fantastic book. I recommend it for everyone. So, when we talk about where we're getting our energy, that is, in Alberta, we've got a bit of a dirty grid, and, it's something we have to deal with. And so that's why solar is such a huge priority for everyone in Alberta. It's becoming a really big economy in Alberta. I read somewhere that we're a leader in the nation for installing solar panels and solar farms, etc. So excited about that, and St. Alberta needs to be part of that. We already have on our public works building, our transit bus barn, and Nexus Service Place. We're building a 1 megawatt on Service Place, which should supply about 20% of the energy consumption by Service Place, which is great. So the solar farm, I've got a lot on my website about it. I've talked about it in a previous video like this for Gazette question number 2, I think it was. So let's go on to buildings. Buildings, especially in an urban setting when there's so many of them, they breathe. We need to heat them and we need to cool them. And right now, most of that heating is probably happening with natural gas. And so there's opportunities to improve the efficiency of buildings. The corporately owned buildings we have done audits on, and we know what we need to do. Now we just need to actually show some leadership and do that. But for the community buildings, there's lots of opportunities. And I didn't have a chance to talk about it in the Gazette, but we have a new program called CEEP, Clean Energy Improvement Program. It's run by the board that I sit on, AUMA, has funds, and they will allow you to do some upgrades to your home and attach it to your property taxes. So if the return on investment for solar panels or a new hot water tank is too long for you because you might be selling your house, this is a great opportunity because the next homeowner will take it over. The other thing we have done is I put a motion forward in the summer to do a similar program to what Edmonton has called HERA, Home Energy Retrofit Accelerator. So it's just a flat out grant if you want to put solar panels or redo your windows, etc. So these are really important things that we can do as a corporation and as a community. Transportation is another piece of climate. One of the biggest contributors is obviously cars on the road, so we need to try to get them less idling. The idling bylaw is important. That's why we need to get the ITS, the Intelligent Transportation System, along St. Albert Trail and Boudreau and everywhere in the city working, so we're not idling. We need to really invest in transit-oriented developments and get transit like a really good option for residents. That's why I'm so excited about the free transit for youth, kind of generating lifelong transit users. Electric charging stations and infrastructure is important in St. Albert. So there's a lot of things around transportation that I talk about on my website. And then finally, waste. Solid waste is a huge contributor to greenhouse gases. Things that end up in the landfill, when they decompose, they release methane, and methane is a much stronger trapper of heat on the planet, stronger than CO2. It's a bad greenhouse gas that we need to prevent. And so source separation in your home is so important, and St. Albert's been so great at embracing that. We're one of the few that have different sizes of brown bins, and I love it when I'm door knocking and driving around St. Albert, seeing people with the medium and the small bins, because it means they're taking a really good effort to reduce their brown bin and putting it in other places. So, and then the waste can be a good resource. We need to look at turning organic waste into energy. We need to look at better ways to refuse even buying some things, reduce what we buy, reuse what we buy, because recycling is kind of the end, lower in the hierarchy. So we have obviously talked about a waste to energy project here in St. Albert, and that will continue next term, hopefully. And I honestly believe one of my successes that I'm super proud of is bringing EPR, which is Extended Producer Responsibility, to Alberta. I sit on so many boards, but one of them is the Alberta Recycling Management Authority, and we've been working on this. So Extended Producer Responsibility will actually put the onus of the cost of end of life of any product that you buy onto the producer and not the municipality. Right now you are paying X number of dollars a month for a blue bag. If extended producer legislation passes this spring, which I'm pretty sure it will, that should disappear off your utility bill. So you're not paying for the recycling anymore, and the producers will actually have to pay for it. And hopefully they might start designing their products a little bit better and more easier to recycle if they have to pay for it. So that's kind of the goal. So anyways, as we see, this is 7 minutes. I never go past 5. I try not to, but I have so much to say about the climate. I think it's a big priority for myself and the next council. So thank you for listening. Please email me if you have any questions. Have a great day.